Pamela Shepherd with Pamela Shepherd Productions here. And I've cut a piece of, this is going to be my backing. It's going to be black on this one. I cut a 12-inch square. And I cut a 12-inch square of batting to go on it as well. I'm going to put strips. I'm also making a Dresden to go on some of the squares, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit too, but the Dresden will go on this and it'll have a black back as well. I've made a few of those. They're like, some of them will be like this, and some of them will be like this. And then some of them will have the Dresden piece, and then some of them will have one of these cat squares, making a cat quilt for my daughter. She loves cats, and there's all different kinds of cats on this. So I wrote out myself a little pattern, and my little pattern is like all my patterns look. So some of them will just be the squares that go up and down, and some of them will be the Dresden cat, Dresden cat, Dresden cat. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. It's actually quite easy, and I'm actually enjoying this quite a bit. So first of all, to do the striped ones, so that they fit nicely and they don't squeeze, squaw, and stretch this way or the other. Since this is 12 inches, I'm going to mark exactly down the middle 6 inches, and I'm going to mark down the middle here on this one. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. I think that was 6 inches. Okay, then I'm going to go right down the center. And it doesn't really matter what kind of pin you use on this. I am using these, I think they call them Frixon. And they're erasable, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to be able to see this at all. These actually disappear with heat. So if I ironed it, it would disappear. And I'm using cotton batting. Don't have to use cotton batting, but I'm using cotton batting. And then I've cut a bunch of these 2-inch strips, all different ones of the color scheme that I'm using. And these were most of these were fat quarters. I think some of them were half a quarter. I mean, half a quarter. Most of these were fat quarters, and some of them were half a yard. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and then I'm going to start stitching down this line, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I'll go to the machine and I'll show you there. Okay, so let's just start with this one. You put your first one up, and that's the way it goes. It goes up. Then the next one, we'll use this gold one right here, and we want to turn it upside down, face to face with the other one. And we want to go right along there, and I'm going to stitch this all along here. I'm using a straight stitch, and I'm using, let's see, I think it's about 2 inches wide. I'm going to do it like that. Okay, I think that might be good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take these 2 pieces here. I'm just using black thread basically for the most part, and I'm going to start it there on the edge. I'm not going to back stitch because I don't really need to, except I am going to do a 1/4 of an inch seam, a 1/4 inch seam. And this particular foot that I have right here is a 1/4 inch seam foot. It has, this right here is a 1/4 inch. So if I run this along the edge, it's a 1/4 inch. I mean, most of you probably know that, but here we go. I'm going to give that a little stitch. Okay, and I've got it going across that green line so that it's all straight, nice and straight for the first one, and then I'm just going to sew off of each side. I'll show you. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to cut my thread, and I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to finger press it. Now I do have my iron sitting right here beside me, so I actually could do that. Then I'm going to take the next fabric, any fabric that of all these that I have, and I'll take this one and go next, and I'm going to put it right on top just like I did the others. These are all 2-inch strips. You can use 2.5 if you have jelly roll strips that come in 2.5-inch strips. You can do that. I just decided to use 2-inch strips because a lot of this fabric that I had, like I said, was fat quarter, so I had 1/4 of a yard of each of these, and some of them had a 1/2 yard. And I'm using several so that they can all go with that cat design. I just thought it looked good. I liked I held the cat pictures up next to it, and I decided, okay, these look good with it. That's how I decided. Okay, so there's, does that mean I'm out of bobbin? Yes, okay. Okay, when I started, I did 3 black bobbins, so there's the second one. And put this in the machine. Okay, so it goes like this, down in there. This is a Brother SE 1900 that I have here, and the reason I bought this one is because I wanted to do some embroidering. So we'll get into that a different video. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so once again, and I'm gonna finger press this one as well, and I'm going to choose, I think I'll choose this one. Now this one is a batik, so it's the same on each side. So you can use either side of this one. I just liked the color scheme to go with what I was doing. Now you can see on the back, it's already, some threads, it's already, you know, quilting the back. I mean, if I want to, I can go quilt sideways as well. It depends on how much quilting you want on the back, but honestly, that was perfect. It was quilting, and that was good. Okay, so then let's do, this also is a batik, and it's, I think it worked really well with the cat colors. And so, okay, I'm going to cut my thread. Sometimes I do iron so I just can keep it all nice and straight. Now you see I've got all these little tails. You can cut them off as you go, but I'm going to cut them off right now. Okay, so then we'll turn it over and we're going to start on this side. So I think I'll use one of these. It is a blue, but it does look different, and I kind of like it. So we're going to just, it doesn't really matter because all of them are different. There we go. The reason I cut these 12 inches is so I would have room to square them off. I'm going to, the cat squares, which I'll grab those again and show you one. Dan Morris design. I got most all of this stuff from So Yeah, is the name of the fabric place. In fact, I think I got all of this fabric from So Yeah. But see, here's this cat and this. So, see, the color schemes just worked really well for a lot of the cats. I really like the color schemes together. Yeah. So that's, I just went through my drawer where I have all my fat quarters and all my half yards, and I just kind of went along and decided which ones looked the best. Now this is a black grunge. I don't know if you can see the grunge on it, but it's kind of cool too. Thread, finger press it, and I think I'll put one more on there. Okay, let's do one of these maybe. Yeah, let's do that. This is the batik, so it's pretty much the same on both sides. Yeah. In fact, I guess it is the same on both sides. You can see these go pretty fast. There you have it. There's one square, and then I will get busy and cut these pieces off the back. I don't normally do it on this particular sewing table, but I'll do it right now. And then also on this side, we'll do the same thing because there's a few of these. Okay, so you can see that is basically quilted on the back. So I will need to square these up because, like I was saying, the cat is, I think it's 10.5 inches by 11 inches. So I'll have room to square these up all equal with the cat patterns, and that's what we'll do with these. So that's this portion of the quilt, and now I'm going to show you how to make the Dresden plate that I'm going to use on these. So I'll be right back. First of all, you have to decide how big your square is going to be. And I told you that the cat panel, each of the cat squares is, I think it's 10.5 inches deep, and it's 11 inches wide. I think it's maybe 11.5 inches wide. So I had to figure out, I went online because I thought, I don't know what size I'm supposed to use. So I ended up doing, I have one of these Dresden, Easy Dresden plates by Darlene Zimmerman, and I had purchased this quite a long time ago, but I wanted to make some Dresden, so I just got this at, I think I just got it at my local fabric store or possibly Amazon. One of the two is where I got it. So I thought I better make 4-inch ones so that they can fit, and it takes 21 of these to go around. So I since I was going to do 4-inch ones, I cut all the fabric that, you know, all these different pieces, the same ones that I used for the stripping. I cut these 4 inches. I cut a 4-inch piece, you know, going the width of the fabric or whatever. And then I ended up, what I found in cutting these is I'm right-handed. So if I leave the excess fabric on the right-hand side, and then you can just flip your, let me see, this should be straight, but I somehow moved it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so so for the top one, I'll put the 4-inch mark right along the top, and then as you can see, the edge goes right there. Then I just take my rotary cutter, and then I turn it upside down the next time then. So I'll put the 4-inch down here at the bottom, So I can always cut with my right hand because I'm right-handed. And I don't have to move it around too much. Well, phooey do. There we go. I'm trying to show you. And then, okay. Oops. I have no idea what kind of rotary cutter this is. It was pink, is why I bought it. I thought, oh, that's so pretty. I think I got it on Amazon. It was pink. I thought, yay, I'm buying that. And actually, it works pretty good. These do come loose a little bit. Okay, so that's how you cut them. And I'm doing, I actually did more at a time than this, but this is doubled up, so I'm cutting 2 at a time. But you can cut more. And see, that one's too small, so I'm going to stick it over here in my scrap jar that I put it in. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is take this over to the sewing machine. And this is a batik, so both sides are the same. But otherwise, let me see if I have one. Okay. Here's one that has a right side and a wrong side. So I put the right sides together right in the center. And then I stitch a 1/4 of an inch seam. And then what that gives me is I stitch it a 1/4 of an inch seam, and then I take my scissors and barely cut the little corner off just so that there's not as much bulk. Then after I stitch it, I turn this inside out like that. And then I actually use an old bone folder. You can use whatever you have that you're sewing, and then I just make it nice and pointy, and then I iron them down. I take this piece of Dresden on the long 4-inch part up there. It's going to make our nice little pointy. So here's one that I've just sewn. I just kept my black thread inside there. You don't have to clip that off. You can just turn it inside out like this. But it just has a little bit more bulk. Then what you really want to do, the next step, after you, oops, change my lighting there. After you, you put it on the, well, this is actually my, after you push it in there, get it nice and straight. I turn it this way so that I can see that I'm going to go right up the center. You can fold it. Some people do. Some people fold it right down the center. And they even iron it or finger press it, whatever. And then they do like this so that they keep it right down the center. But it seems like if I turn it this way, I can get the center pretty good. Okay. So then you have a Dresden. It's pretty easy, really. And then what you want to do is you want to start, taking them and putting them around and see which way you like them. I have a bunch of them made here. And you need 21 of them. So you'll kind of go around and get what you like. Oops, some of these I haven't sewn yet, as you can see. So anyhow, that's what you do. You go around and then you start sewing them together. Get your nice deal going all the way around. Get you 21 of them. See, some of these I haven't sewn yet. So it doesn't matter. I mean, you can just plug along and keep putting them to the way you just, do it the way you like. Okay, so see, this one would look good over here. And this one would look good here. Well, let's do another one of these. I had another little, so I have one of these over here. So anyhow, you want to get 21 of them, And so right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So anyhow, as you're laying them out, you want to see how you like them. Then you just start taking them and sewing them together. And you want to sew them from this little tiny spot here down to the bottom. And if there's going to be a difference where I didn't cut them exactly 4 inches or whatever, then I start right there and go down, and they sew together so nicely. So then when you sew, you just sew them together 1/4 inch, and then you get the next one and sew it together 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, and then you have them all together like this. And I just ironed them all going the same direction, like that. Just took the iron, and then I did the iron on top as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm either going to just do, a lot of times people will cut circles, you know, and I'll show you that process too. But I saw one that I really loved, and it was almost like the pillow top look, you know, where and then you had your fabric peeking out. And I have this fabric that I'm going to use for the underneath this. And then I'll have batting, and then I'll have the black back. Then I'm actually going to put all of these together with strips. But see, I'll quilt this. This is all quilt as you go. I'm going to, you know, just go across here. I'm going to try a couple of different stitches on something else to see what I like, but you can do a satin stitch or a blanket stitch. And honestly, I saw where a straight stitch, and I liked it a lot. They just barely went down, you know, like 1/8 inch, or you could go 1/4 inch. And then I saw one where they echoed it on the outside, and that was kind of cool looking too, if you want to go the extra mile. But once you do your seams, you can actually even stitch in the ditch on each one of these if you want to. I don't think I'm going to do that because I'm going to put a center here, and then I'll show you what new thing that I learned that's so fun to do in the center. So that's how you put your Dresden together. So we will go to the next step, and I'll be back. Okay, friends, thank you so much for sharing with me today. Don't forget to subscribe and mark like if you like this video. Come back for part 2 and possibly a part 3, and we're going to finish this quilt as you go. You're going to love it. It's so fun. Okay? God bless you, and we'll talk to you later. Okay? See you on the next video. Bye-bye.